let us know in the chat if you can hear us now. Some people couldn't hear us, so we had to go out and come back in. So tell us if you can hear us.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. Is there anybody out there?
Yeah, they said there's 13.
We are here.
So they can hear us before I go on. We've got people from Venice and Glastonbury and North Carolina and all kinds of places. So
yeah.
I can hear you now. Vanessa says she can hear us. She was one that reported to me. All right, so we're going to start over again because you didn't hear us. And we don't want that. We want you to hear us because this woman is such an incredible person. This is Gloria Taylor Brown, and this is a Gathering of Priestesses special edition and our first transatlantic edition. And apparently those cables that go underneath the Atlantic didn't quite manage to make it right. But anyway, thank you for all letting me know that you can hear us. So I want to introduce Miss Kathy Jones, who is from Glastonbury, England, and she is a powerhouse. She's incredible. She's just like mind-boggling that we have her on this planet, you know. And so I really am, you know, you have done so much for the goddess movement. So I want to go back and let them hear, how did you come to be a priestess?
Okay, I want to say hi Miriam, hi Louisa, Anna, Joni, Sarah, yes, hi, Maya, hello, yes, lovely to see your names all there, and I can't mention everybody because I don't know everybody. Huh. Okay, yes, being a priestess. I really believe that, like many of us, I have been a priestess many times before. 1,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. I am a priestess returned, like many of us, and many of you who are listening, you know who you are. We are here again to bring Goddess back and Goddess alive in the world again, in the consciousness and awareness of human beings, and that is the main focus of what we do and what we are. We are priestesses returning. Yay! Yes. Yes. In this lifetime, of course, I was not aware of this when I was younger. I've always had a spiritual thirst. I've always been a spiritual seeker since I was very young. And it began probably in my teens with Jesus, and then progressed through the Western mystery tradition and also through Hinduism, Buddhism, many isms, until my late 20s, when it, I'm studying people like the Theosophists, Alice Bailey, anything that I could really get my hands on that was available at that time. And that, yes, but at that time, everything was in he, him, and his, because in my world, Goddess did not exist. Nobody talked about her. She was, goddesses were kind of Greek or Roman and were, you know, they were in storybooks and they weren't real. So my own journey of awakening really began when I moved to Glastonbury from a spiritual retreat in Wales, where I lived on my own, for mostly in a farmhouse on a hillside for nearly 5 years. This was in my 20s. I found myself kind of propelled unexpectedly into living on my own and having nothing else to do but meditate and read books, spiritual books, and to chop wood and draw water and grow plants and live in nature, basically. So my life conspired to take me to that place of being deeply immersed in nature and spirituality. But again, at that time, it was all he, him, and his. And I lived on my own. I had quite a solitary life. And then I moved to Glastonbury, and I fell in love with an unsuitable man, as one does, or one can do. And I had reached a very sublime place in my spirituality. I felt very peaceful and very happy and very calm. And then I fell in love with this suitable man, and everything fell apart. And I thought, well, what was the point of all of that if it didn't help me in the place that I needed it to help me, in my relationships, in loving someone, and it didn't make any difference. So I thought, well, what happens if I let go of this kind of all these ways of thinking and these practices, like meditation, like prayer, like everything? Would there still be anything there if I let go of the patriarchal versions of religion? So I let them go, and that's when the exciting part really began. And also, I realize now that in that time, I was reliving some past incarnations. I was remembering parts of myself that had lived in other lives. So that was the remembering. And then when I came to Glastonbury, as well as falling in love with an unsuitable man, we began to hold a circle, a women's circle, and we would meet every fortnight, and we would just talk about our experiences as women. And it was the first time I had sat in circle with women, and we shared how it was for us. And this was the end of the 1970s, beginning of the early 80s. And it was a very enjoyable experience. And so again, there was this split between this great enjoyment we were all having as women together and the spirituality, which was still male. And I thought, there's something not kind of right here. What is women's spirituality, really? At the same time, Greenham Common was happening. Women were traveling, we were traveling from the small town of Glastonbury, which in those days the population was much smaller than it is now. And we were going to Greenham to protest at the women's peace camps against bringing nuclear cruise missiles from America into Britain. And in that kind of journey, lots of things happened. And it was very scary, it was very frightening to confront the powers of patriarchy. And I remember one time when we were, there was a protest happening, and we were outside of the chain link fence that surrounded Greenham. There's 20 miles of chain link fencing. And we were in the woods, a group of women, and we were singing, and we were holding candles. It was dusk. And on the inside, there was, barbed wire, razor wire, there were policemen, then there were soldiers, then there were soldiers with guns, all surrounding these silos that contained weapons of death, or were planning to contain them. And there was a group of women called Women for Life on Earth, and we were all part of this group that wanted life to be honored on the earth. And I can remember singing in the woods, "You can't kill the spirit. She is like a mountain, old and strong. She goes on and on and on. You can't kill the spirit," etc. And that, for me, that was the first time that I had sung of spirit as she. That's what I remember. And before then, it was fine for Mother Earth to be Mother Earth, but spirit had always been he. Spirit was like Father Sky, spirit. And the spirit was always more important than the Mother Earth. And and singing then of spirit as she was a liberation for me. It was an awakening, and in my understanding that she is spirit, that goddess is spirit, that goddess is the inspiring, invigorating force of creation in the planet, on the world. And everything opened up from there, that awakening. It's kind of how that began.
That's fabulous. And it's interesting because I was in the women's spirituality movement over here in the US, and we had a lot of issues going on because the women were having trouble with the idea of God as woman. And I think it's about that time that, was it Marilyn Stone's book, God as Woman, came out?
Yeah.
And we had her at an event that we had put together. And I remember that there were some people there that were, that they didn't want any persona. In other words, not male, not female, that it's spirit. We don't claim it. And it's like, no, we're female. Some others are male. And yeah, we do claim the goddess, and we do. And it was like, there was this period where it was interesting, where it moved from not being able to say she, being able to, and then there was a period where everybody only said she. And then now it's he, she, God, goddess, all it is, there's a whole lot. It's like back to trying to find balance between the two. But
I'm still in she.
Yeah. Well, yes, of course. But it's just interesting to watch, to be part of it and to watch it. But as you were doing this, I mean, obviously it was sowing the seeds that would eventually be the Goddess Conference. So tell me a little bit about how all that got started.
Okay, so to reiterate, I am still in she. I'm really not remotely interested in balance. Okay.
All right. I'm in she too. It's just you can't see the rest of my room, or you would understand.
And I do remember at that time that we had the feeling that in America you were kind of ahead of us, that you had more experiences, and there were more kind of a few more pioneering women in the States. But there was a big, strong thing that you couldn't be a feminist, that you couldn't have spirituality and feminism at that time. There was a separation between the two. You could be kind of a political feminist, but you couldn't be a spiritual goddess-loving feminist at the same time. It was like a thing that went on. Anyway, so after Greenham, really, out of Greenham, 2 women from Glastonbury had gone to live at Greenham, and I wanted to do something in support of them. We wanted to do like a little fundraising thing. So I had begun to read goddess myths, particularly kind of Greek ones at that time, and I read the myth of Demeter and Persephone, and it was the first time that I understood a myth. Before then, they'd just been these fantasy stories, and then it suddenly became real, because I understood it in terms of what was happening at Greenham about the underworld and the whole industrial military complex being the underworld, and how we sell our souls really to, for our washing machines and our whatever it is that we feel we need, and we are seduced by the powers of the underworld into, all of that. So I wrote a version of the Demeter and Persephone myth in praise of these women, and it was performed in the Glastonbury Assembly Rooms by a group of about maybe 40 people who came together, and it was great. It was really enjoyable, and it was really powerful. And then the next year, I had read Inanna, Queen of Heaven, by Diane Wolfstein and Samuel Noah Kramer, that translation. And I decided to create another sacred drama, this time with music and, you know, flashing lights and the whole thing. And gradually, I found that I had a calling to create sacred drama.
Mm-hmm.
And what would happen for me, so over the next 13 years maybe, once or twice a year, we would create a sacred drama that was a rewriting of an ancient goddess myth, because mostly the myths that we receive have all been written down in patriarchal times, so they all have patriarchal constructs, and it was like reclaiming and remembering goddess from within these ancient stories and changing them. And at that time, which was kind of in the 1980s, that it was like, you can't do that. So a lot of my life has been about people saying, you can't do that. And I go, well, I'm going to do it anyway. You know, so that's how it's kind of, but you can't do that, or you can't write that, or you can't say that, or you can't be that. And I go, okay, because I'm just the way I am. I kind of go, okay, but I'm going to do it anyway and see what happens.
My life is based upon people telling me I can't do things, and then I go do them. Because don't tell me you can't do it, because that's what I'll want to do. But, you know, we had Patricia Monahan at Women's Wisdom a few years ago, and she's passed on now, but she introduced us to the idea of goddess karaoke.
Yes.
We would tell the story, she would tell the story, and we would act it out. And I always loved that. In fact, with Normandy Ellis, we did that on the boat when we were in Egypt. So the ritual theater, and, you know, we have Ione, who's one of our priestesses, and they do the ritual theater up in Hudson Valley up in New York. And it's just, you know, wonderful way. And it is so rich, and there's so many opportunities to really, I come out of my background was as a therapist many years ago. And I figured out who I needed to get well, and it wasn't them, it was me. So, but one of my favorite things was psychodrama. And I love the idea of acting out the story, and acting out the story in such a way that you can see how it affected you and how you can change the ending. And so the goddess dramas are so rich and so juicy that I love the idea of your creating these. And I imagine that in that time frame, it was pretty much like you said, you can't do that.
Well, kind of what happened was they were coming from inspiration. So I have a story that I kind of tell, which is I used to write. I had a desk in my bedroom, you know, and I would write there. You know, it started off on a typewriter and only gradually became a computer in those days. And on the wall on my right hand side, there was a poster, which was a poster of Green Tara, the Tibetan goddess of compassion. Right? And she was somebody I'd fallen in love with her had given her to me, and it was on the wall really because she was pretty and she matched the wallpaper. And I knew nothing about her. I didn't really know anything about her. So I'm sitting at my desk, and then I heard a voice, and the voice said, coming from my right hand side, and the voice said, "Look at me." So I turned and I looked at this poster of Green Tara. And it was like she was sitting on the wall, like 3D. She became like a 3D image. And she said, find out who I am and write a play about me. So I started to read about Green Tara, and I ended up writing a play about her with another friend. And in the performance of the play, she came alive. She came alive through the performance. But I also found that I already knew who she was. I knew her in my bones. I knew who she was because I had at some point in the past, I had honored and worshipped her and adored her, and I knew her in my soul. I knew her, and then so we wrote the play, and the play happened, and in the performance, she was embodied by one of the performers, and she came alive so that the audience could experience her, and also the participants, the performers experienced her. So the whole thing became these really extraordinary experiences of Goddess, because she would be embodied and she'd be there, live and happening. And this went on with goddesses of many, many different cultures around the world. And yeah, it was a process that went on for about 13 years. And in that, all the time I was thinking I wanted to do longer and longer plays, right? I wanted to do like the 24-hour play or the 3-day play. And then out of that really came the one of the strands was to create an event that was a longer event, that was like a 3 or 4 day goddess event. We had one kind of sometime in the 1980s. There were artists like Monica Shu and Jill Smith, and there was Asphodel Long, and we had an exhibition in the assembly rooms of goddess women's art and some talks. And I thought, what I really would like to do, like this is a few years later thinking, I'd really like to create a much bigger goddess event that draws together British women and artists and poets and performers and musicians to celebrate Goddess. And really, that's where the kind of idea for creating the Goddess Conference came from. And it was also taking everything that we had learned from the sacred drama and putting it into the conference, so that the conference was like started off as a 3-day sacred drama. It is now a 9-day sacred drama.
Wow.
And has become much more like a, well, it's also an inspiration. The Eleusinian mysteries, which were held over 9 days, and is the same kind of thing, is that you can really come and immerse yourself and move into the heart of the mysteries, that we take people on a journey into the heart of her mystery. And we don't always know what's going to happen. We don't know what will occur, but we're now, with the conference, we're now in our 20th year. So it's our 20th anniversary year this year. And yeah, it's an amazing experience. It's just been amazing. It's an amazing experience.
Yeah, well, you're 20 years old. Women of Wisdom started and just celebrated its 21st anniversary.
Oh,
and
okay.
Of course, Women of Wisdom was in Seattle, Washington, and this last year was its 21st, so it came of age. Okay. But whenever I was involved with it, it was an 8-day event. And we were in 5 or 6 different venues, and we had art shows and everything else. And speakers from, coming in from everybody from Jean Houston to, the girl down the street who did crystals, because we had so many different speakers. And it was an interesting experience weaving all of that together and putting it into a format that was containable.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, you're herding cats. But so I'm sure that you had some of that same experience. But we watched you from afar, and I was always we were always so impressed. And I know that a number of our people actually went over to Glastonbury. In fact, Barbara Lindsay was here this last week and working on her book. And she said that she's been there twice. And she says, you'll love Kathy. She says, she's so remarkable. And I said, I already love her. You know, I mean, I haven't met her, but and, you know, but it's an interesting experience to basically craft what we know we should be doing. It's like, to me, it's like the priestess thing is, I knew a long time ago that I was a priestess. Mm-hmm. I knew that what they told me in church wasn't right, or wasn't right for me. I'll just say it that way. And I got in a lot of trouble about it. Mm-hmm. Whenever I was 14, I put down my religion as witch. Mm-hmm. And I was informed that I could change that or get kicked out of school. So, and I wouldn't change it. And I said, you know, you're supposed to have freedom of religion. And they're like, no. And so they called my mother, and my mother says, she's not a witch, she's Baptist. And I'm like, no. You just think I am. And, you know, but it's as you move through this space and move into the place of accepting the goddess in your life. And obviously that's part of what's going on with you is accepting her not only into your life, but into your body, into your being. So that you are the goddess incarnate. You are the one who is doing her work. And that's what I see that you have done is you have created the space where not only you are doing her work, but you are allowing other people to do her work as well. And I really applaud you for that, because I know how hard it is.
Thank you. That's really kind.
And
it is my delight when women and men open to Goddess and allow her in and through, into their lives, because I know for myself, it's not like where you suddenly kind of go one day, that's it, and I am completely surrendered. It's a continuing surrender. It's like I've had cancer twice in my life, and the first time very nearly killed me, and the second time was also rather shocking. So it's like, she has brought me to the places, the real life and death places, and she takes me there because I'm slow and I'm a bit stupid about certain things, so she learn this, get this, let love in, it's like the first time, because it was breast cancer, breast cancer twice, but it's like, learn to receive love, and okay, yeah, I get it. I'm slow. I'm really sorry. It's like, yes, I get it. Let love in. And the journey is always like more and more of that. Let the love in. Receive the love. Very, like many breast cancer people, it's like very good at giving, not too good at receiving. Right. So, so I
taking care of other people.
Pardon?
Very good at taking care of other people.
Yes, but I have learned now to take care of myself, and again, then that process is always deepening, because what does that mean to take care of myself? And there are things like I have found. Well, the last couple of years we've had quite a lot of conflict in our community, and my understanding of what has gone on has radically kind of changed, and I have been changed by the experiences, because I had, I'd say, quite floppy boundaries. People could push against me, and I'd go, "Oh, really? Is that how you feel? Is that true?" Instead of actually going, "No. There's a clear boundary here." So my boundaries have become clearer and stronger, and for myself, and lots of things have happened. So there is never a place where I feel that of completion, you know. You know, there's never a place where you're finished and you're done. Being a priestess, we are always becoming priestess. We are always in the process of becoming her priestess. It's not like you reach this place and that's it, you're done, you know. She will always, if we surrender to her, she will always take us to the next place we need to deal with, you know, the next wound that needs healing. And what I really, you know, what I'm really working with now is that we are all, especially women's communities, especially goddess communities, that we are dealing with the wounds that come from the endings of the goddess temples 5,000 years ago. 5,000 years of patriarchy, or however long it is, depending on where you live, you know, it's like all that stuff needs healing and facing and meeting and clearing, because we are enacting it. It's not patriarchy that is from the outside, that is, it's within our own communities, the patriarchy we have within us, the conditioning that we have in us, the way that we behave towards each other, the lack of care that we show towards each other. We really have to change that, those whole ways of behaving. It's all, yes.
I totally agree with you. And, you know, one of the things that we've talked about on this show is how to be in a role of leadership. But there's also how to be in a position of community, and where you're not the leader. And it's not your decision as to what's going to happen. It's the community's decision as to what's going to happen. And both of those are something that you have to really work at, because the patriarchal mindset says that we're going to organize this way, and there's going to be a boss, and there's going to be people below the boss, and you know, it becomes something. Well, you know, I have a one teacher many years ago who said that there are three motivations in life: money, sex, and power. And of the three, power is the strongest and most addictive. And with people, you frequently get the situation where they are in a community situation or something else, and you know, they get a little bit of power, and they run with it. And it's like, no, we can't have that. That's not the way we agreed to work. We've agreed to work in community. We've agreed to work on a, maybe if not consensus, at least some kind of a model where we are at least polite to each other.
Okay, so a couple of years ago, the idea came for Mother World, and Mother World is a vision of Mother World, and Mother World being the society in which mothers and the values of mothering, which are love, care, and support for each other, are placed in the center of society rather than being on the periphery. So now in our society, you know, it's greed, power, power over war, death, starvation. They're all in the center of our society's terror, in the center. And we have put out a call which is for Mother World, to the creation of Mother World, and what loving, caring, and supporting each other really means, and how hard because we are trained as women and as girls, really, as girls from small age, we are trained to compete with each other, to undermine each other, to sabotage each other, to keep each other small, to take each other down. And we are trying to create, it's like the beginning of trying to create a society where where we love, support, and care for each other. And that is our main aim with each other. And of course, we all make mistakes, we do the wrong thing, but it's that we meet our stuff, you know, that we actually, yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think, but one of the things is to love each other and to support each other, even when we don't agree with each other.
Absolutely.
You know, and even whenever we
agree.
Yeah, even whenever we don't agree, or you know, we think they're totally crazy or whatever, we still have to have that sense that, okay, I am in relationship. It's like being in a marriage. You can destroy your marriage, or you can be in the marriage and you can realize that whatever that other person does, you're going to support them, even when you don't agree with them totally. You know, you need to understand what it is that's going on. And so, you know, that's a difficult place for a lot of women. They've come from this place of, I mean, as you said, as girls, we're basically trained to destroy each other, to compete in a way that does not raise us up. We are not taught to be team players. I was watching the USA soccer women play last night, and they beat China, and they did really good. And they talked about how some sportscaster had written that women's soccer wasn't worth watching.
Yeah.
And, you know, these are really athletic, wonderful women, but they're working as a team, and they work totally as a team. And we don't train that way. We train to work individually. And one of the things that, because of that, we get in our own way a lot, I think. And I think that happens in the goddess community as well as in other communities, is that we're putting ourselves in that place of, you know, I don't know, she's got higher heels than I am, so therefore I'm going to bring her down. I don't know quite what it is. Anna would like to know, she says, becoming a priestess is actually learning to listen and follow her voice. Have you got any advice for those who are starting on this path?
Well, there's a lovely legend of Rhiannon of the birds, the white mare from the sea. She is a Welsh goddess. There's this great story of how there's a prince who's called Puff, and he's sitting on the mound of Narberth. It's called Narberth, and in order to become king in the land, he must marry the goddess of the land. So he's sitting there one evening under the full moon, and he sees a woman ride by on a white horse. And he instantly falls in love with her because she is so beautiful. And he sees her go around the corner, and then she disappears. And it's like, he's then like, who was she? Who is she? So he goes back the next night, and he sees her again. And this time he kind of runs down the hill, but she's gone before he can catch her. The next night she's still there, she rides out, he sends his servant after her on a horse, and no matter how fast the servant rides, he never catches up with her. She's just trotting along, but he can't catch up with her. And the next night he decides, this prince, that he will get on his horse and he will follow her. And so she appears again, and he races after her, and she's still trotting along, and he can't catch up with her. And then he calls out and he says, "Lady, for the sake of the one you love best, stop for me." Immediately she stops riding, and she turns and she faces him, and she says, "And it would have been better for your horse if you had called me earlier." So the story in this, the message in this story is, if you want to know who Goddess is, call her. Ask her to stop for you. Speak to her. That's how you find out who Goddess is. You actually go, "Goddess, Goddess, wherever you are, speak to me." He will respond. She always responds, and she responds either, usually she responds through synchronicity, coincidence, through the appearance of something in the sky, of a bird, an animal. Her nature always responds. So if we ask her to respond, she responds. So when you want to know more about who she is, ask her to show herself to you. That's the
advice. So if you're starting, ask her to show you what you want to do. Yeah. I agree. So I think that's a wonderful place to start. So you have 2 events coming up. I think you have one in July, and then you have, of course, the Goddess Conference. Am I right or am I wrong?
No, the Goddess Conference is at the end of July. It's from the 28th to the 28th of July to the 2nd of August, and with fringe events that are before the conference. So we have 2 days of fringe events, which are like day-long workshops. So we've got like Vicky Noble is coming from the States too, which is wonderful, yeah, to do a day workshop, and she's also in the conference. And Anique Radiant Heart, who is coming from Australia, who is an amazing singer, and she's doing a day workshop. And then we have another singer, Eloise Pilkington. She's doing a day workshop, and then in the conference itself, there are just all these amazing women and men coming together. Mostly we're women, but there are a few goddess-loving men who come and join us, which is great. And we are exploring this year. We are exploring the Calic. The Calic is the winter goddess. She is. So we have been we are in a 9-year cycle of each year we have a different focus for which kind of face of goddess we are learning about. And this year we are in the north with the Calic of winter, who is also the one who connects us to the stars. So we have both the Calic, who is the oldest face of goddess on this planet. She is the oldest being who connects us to the stars and the cosmic star mother. So we are on a journey of exploration with the cosmic star mother, and who is the vastness of the cosmos. And yeah, so it's very exciting. And I think the thing that probably makes the Goddess Conference different to any other events is our ceremonies, because really we are interested in ceremony, and all that. And while we bring all these amazing people together, we do really powerful ceremonies that actually change the way that we see things, perceive things, experience things, as a group, as a bigger group, as a collective of people coming together for this event. So it's if you want to have your life changed for the better, come to the Goddess Conference, really, because her magic, you will experience her magic and her mystery here on the sacred Isle of Avalon, because that's where we do all of this.
I think that's wonderful, and I put up the picture of your goddess house on the registration page.
Yes, the goddess hall. Yeah,
just beautiful. And I put the video of the I think it was the procession. Procession, and so people would have a little feel for what we were talking about. And it's interesting that I think that I want to say one thing here about the idea of men, because one of the things I did within the last 2 days was I looked at who's been viewing the videos. Now, this is my 57th, 58th one of these videos.
Fantastic. And, congratulations.
Yeah. And they're all, basically about priestesses, and they're all women. And I wanted to see, who's viewing. Well, I was surprised. 14% of the viewers have been men.
Yeah, absolutely. So in Glastonbury, we have the Goddess Temple. So we, in 2002, we set up the first formally registered Goddess Temple, perhaps for 1,500 years, in Glastonbury. We set it up, you know, as a place of worship. So we are the first and so far the only legally authorized goddess temple, indigenous British goddess temple, because we work with our indigenous goddesses. And I've lost my thread right now. What was the question? What was that? No.
You were talking about the setting up your goddess temple and the indigenous goddess temple. And what I commented on was the number of men that are, comment about men coming into the goddess. And I commented about the more men doing.
Yeah, so in the temple is open every day to the public, right? From 12 till 4 every day. We have volunteer Melissas who open the temple. And many, many, many days, it's full of men who come in and are searching for goddess. That's what they come for. They are searching. They come and they sit and they pray and they're sitting. It's very beautiful in the temple. And they, you know, and some days it's all men. It's really interesting. And then other days there's no men. But just some days it's really interesting to watch what is happening. Because they are being, just as women, she is calling women to wake up. She's also calling men to wake up. The thing that I also notice is that, so I travel quite a lot and I teach abroad and that kind of thing. And I am particularly, I'm going to different countries where people who have trained as priestesses with us are setting up their own communities, temples, trainings, doing all workshops, that kind of thing. And a lot of them are younger women. They're women in their 30s, 40s, that kind of age. And with them, there are a lot of young men who are really with them, who are not. Whereas in my generation, the men who understand goddess are a bit few and far between of my generation.
Yes.
But in this younger generation, there are young men who are really great young men who are awake and who want to know. So I think, a revelation is happening. A change is going on, and the work that people like you and I and others of our generations that have done have opened a gateway that has allowed souls to come in who are more conscious than we were when we woke up. They're more conscious earlier, they're more aware. And then if you see, because we get all sorts of people who come in the temple, if you see like teenagers, they come in, they really want to know, it's like it's happening younger, that more conscious people who are going to be priestesses and priests of goddess earlier in their lives are incarnating, and it's great. I'm really, makes me very happy.
It's interesting that I am a great grandmother, so I have watched it go out, and my granddaughter is her name is Maya. No, her name is Kelsey, and her daughter is Maya. And Maya is very clear that the goddess sent her here. She's 6 years old, and when she was about 3 or 4, her mother said, "Where did you?" They get the "Where did you come from?" question or something. But from her, it was, "The goddess sent me here. I have work to do."
That's right. See, and they know already. It's so great.
And so it was really, it was interesting that, that at that young age, and the young ones are much more aware. And the thing is that some of them are aware that we have done the spade work, us older people, that have allowed them to be able to step out and say who they are. And of course, we just had the wonderful Supreme Court decision that anybody can marry anybody. Which kind of makes, it's like, I don't know who wants to get married to anybody, but personally, if anybody, you want to be in marriage, go right ahead.
Can I tell you? Right. So my partner and I have been with him for 25 years, and we got married last October because we can now legally marry in the Goddess Temple. So we had to be the first.
Okay.
Just because we could, really. Yeah.
Well, I've been with my current partner for 35 years, and 4 years ago we got married, and we did it for the money. So, so, you know, but, you know, for 31 years, it was great. It was a 31-year-long one-night stand. And we had the world's longest running one-night stand. It worked really well for us. So
we had the longest engagement.
Yeah. So, you know, it's like I had done marriage before, and it didn't work real well for me. So, but you know, it's the opportunities we have now are so incredible, and I think that as we, you know, I was Anna. I am getting to your question. As we move forward into a global position where today we can reach out, and you know, this video is being seen in Venice, it's being seen in North Carolina, it's being seen in California. I've got a dedicated watcher in Southwest Australia that watches on a regular basis, who's on a farm, or not a farm, I guess they call it a farm or a ranch that's like 10,000 acres. And I've got somebody in South Africa that watches regularly. I have a person down in Peru that's 30 miles from anything. She has to go into town and hook into their internet there in order to watch the video, because she doesn't have the capability to do it. So
we go, hello, we love you.
Yeah, I mean, people are working at seeing the show, is the point I'm making. And we have a worldwide pagan community. We have a worldwide goddess community. We did not have that. And the reason I love this venue that I'm using, which is the Hangout, which frankly, folks, is a pain in the ass whenever it comes to getting people on here. Besides you that are viewing, the getting the viewers, the participants on here who are the speakers, it is not easy. But the thing I love about it is that it is literally available worldwide immediately, and anyone who has the link can come on and watch it. We could have 1 million people on here right now watching this. And listening to the wonderful wisdom of Miss Kathy Jones. So whenever, as far as moving to a pagan community, I think we're in one.
I think we are. I think we are. And it's like, how are there ways that this can then go out, that are, you know, on all the ones that you've done, that people can find it kind of after this?
They're all on YouTube.
Okay, cool.
So yeah,
if we get a link, then we can just put it out. If everybody wants to put it out to all their groups and all the rest of it,
yeah, they're all up on YouTube. They're all public, and I think we're at about 7,500 views. So we've had a fairly good number of people who've watched these shows, and so creating this opportunity for us to sit here and have a conversation. And have you, the listener, sit there and listen to it. Our comment, I see Sarah is giving us a long line of comment. Forgive me,
Sarah is one of our priestesses,
so I really didn't read that.
Can I say that Sarah is one of our priestesses who's trained with us, who lives in Italy, and she is doing this amazing work. She lives in Turin. She's doing this amazing goddess work there, and is going to be setting up. She has a priestess training. She's going to be setting up a temple. They've just done all the legal stuff to get it all going. She's just fantastic. I love it, Sarah.
Oh, that is fabulous. I want to go to Turin. I haven't been there yet, so I'll come visit you, Sarah. Set it up and I'll come visit you. But yeah. So yes, the opportunity to reach out and speak and to take the Goddess Conference globally is one of the things that I see as the opportunity. I mean, I know we have the videos, but what do you see as far as opportunities to move forward for how you can reach out to the larger audience?
Well, I'm slightly hampered, I think, by my technical inability in the current time. It's like, you know, when I got onto computers and Macs and, you know, all of that kind of thing, I got so far in my understanding. And what I really need probably is like a technical assistant.
Yes.
Someone whose younger brain will get its way around all these things. But really, it's always been my understanding for myself that because I live in Glastonbury and it's a very special place to live. It's the outer world reality of the inner world of the Isle of Avalon, which is the land of Goddess. Avalon is the land of Goddess, where she has always dwelt and has continued to dwell throughout patriarchal times. So because that energy is here, my devotion and dedication is to the Lady of Avalon, to Goddess as Lady of Avalon. So my service in my life is to her, and has been now for many years. That she is my tutelary goddess. She is my devotion. My devotion is to her, and so I serve her here. And I also travel to lots of other places, and I take a fragment of her energy with me when I travel and when I do anything in the world. And that's really what I believe that I have to do, because I can carry her energy. I bring her energy into the world, and she will show me the ways to do that. She will show me. I don't really personally have to plan. I just have to say yes. When opportunity arises, I say yes. That's how it goes in my life. It's the great thing when you really dedicate as a priestess and you surrender, then it takes all the aggravation out of making decisions, because it's really just about saying yes. Opportunity arises that it is frightening and terrifying, and you know, the little me goes, oh goodness, can I do that? You know, but actually it's just about saying yes. And my service is to her. That's and I think that perhaps is the thing that for me, apart from learning the skills of a priestess and understanding what it means to serve, what it actually means to serve a goddess with your whole heart and your whole life, that's probably, you know, the thing is surrender to her. Take the struggle out of life.
Yeah.
And let her take you where you need to go.
Ricky Byers-Beckwith has a wonderful song called I Release and I Let Go. I let my spirit flow. I'm only here for God. And, you know, it's the idea that we surrender, and that's in that surrender, you no longer have to force. You know, there's a thought through that, you know, we do not have to force this to happen. We just know that this is something that we hold in our hand, and if it happens, it will happen.
Yeah.
And by the way, that drives my husband totally insane when I say that.
because we have incarnated to do this work. We are here to do this. You know, this is the life purpose. This is the reason why we are here, to do this work, to bring Goddess back. And, you know, so it's like, go, yes, okay, yes, thank you, yes. Yeah,
just say yes. And you have no idea where you'll end up. You may end up on TV doing your 57th show. You know, it just seemed like a really good idea at the time, right? And so, yeah, well, you know, I really want to thank you for being on, and I want to thank you for, so you do have the God, but I thought that we had something that was like in 2 weeks, which was why we talked about originally having something July 11th. I thought you had another event that was coming.
No, that is, that weekend is the, so our priestess training is 3 years long, and the final weekend for some of our students who are now in their 3rd year is that weekend. And that's when we do ceremony that evening, which is why I can't be there. It's a private ceremony it's a private initiation ceremony for this group of students that
So
I have to be at.
3-year priestess training course.
Yes.
And they have to come to Glastonbury and live for 3 years?
No, there's 2 ways you can do it. It's you come 8 times in a year, or that we do also do it as an email course where you come 3 times in a year rather than 8 times a year. And that's really for people who live abroad who can't possibly come 8 times in a year. But it's 8 times for people who live in Britain. 8 times in the 1st year, 8 times in the 2nd year, and 4 times in the 3rd spiral. So it's a really, I just think of course I'm prejudiced. To me, it is just one of the best priestess trainings in the world at the present time.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And if you really want to learn, and if you feel called to Avalon, it's a Priestess of Avalon training or Priest of Avalon training. If you feel particularly called by Avalon, this is the training for you.
Well, I think that's great. And then you have the regular conference, which is, as you said, begins in the end of July. Give us the dates, please.
Yeah. And the priestess trainings, they begin at Samhain around Halloween, or Samhain in our Wheel of the Year, and then there are all kinds of other sorts of things. You can do Priestess of Rhiannon training, a Priestess of Bridie training. We have all kinds within the Goddess Temple. We have a Goddess educational wing that is about bringing awareness and expanding, because different goddesses have particular qualities that are they teach us particular kinds of qualities. So Priestess of Rhiannon is really about learning about love and sexuality and sensuality and the whole thing of the sexual priestess. That's a particular focus. Priestess of Bridie is a goddess of healing, of poetry, smithcraft. She has a particular emphasis. I also teach a soul healing course, which is an intensive 6-weekend course, which is for people who really want to understand the energetics of the soul and its vehicles, its embodiment, and actually learn about healing. So there are lots of things that we teach, and you can find it all. goddesstempleteachings.co.uk, goddessconference.com. My website is kathyjones.co.uk.
Yeah.
My books are there, all of that. Yeah.
And I'll put all of those on the YouTube listing so that anyone who watches this, you have the opportunity to click on it. Anybody who received a invitation to this in email has already got that, because I included all of those. And so, you know, I really do appreciate your being here and being available and breaking up your evening and being willing to deal with the technical issues of whatever it was that occurred.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be on your show, because it's a really wonderful thing that you are doing. I mean, presenting all these amazing people, you know, over this length of time. It's a real dedication and a real service that you are offering to the world. That's a brilliant thing to do. So,
well, for me, it's really an interesting experience, because I get to talk to absolutely wonderful, incredible people. And if I could have you all in my living room, I would do that. Next best thing.
Yeah, it's really great. It's very good. I'm enjoying this kind of thing. I haven't, it's new.
Yeah.
I can do it again.
Good. Look forward to it. We'll have you back on.
Okay.
So
thank you so much, Gloria. I really appreciate you having me here with you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So next we on Tuesday night, if you want to join us on our regular gathering of priestesses, and by the way, it is recorded and you can watch it later, so there's no reason you can say no, I can't make it. Is Karen Tate. So another incredible powerhouse of a woman, and been serving the goddess for many years. And our next special edition, which will be in July, is Abbie Mcbride, who is one of the creators of the Vegas Vortex. And I've been trying to get her on for a year. And we finally got a date that she didn't have 4 other things scheduled. Right. So we're going to continue. And if you have someone that you want to recommend who is in Europe or in somewhere else in a time zone, I would love to hear about it. And we will have them on as a special guest. And
I have many that I can recommend.
And one of the things about this show is I don't do only famous people. I mean, this could be the first show they're ever on, because I want people to hear people who are walking the path of the priestess, and that includes people who are sort of walking it very quietly and no one knows about them.
Yeah. I know lots of priestesses, and so I will definitely recommend some to you, because they're just I'm very lucky in that way, to have met so many amazing women. I have a very lucky life in that way, and there are many amazing women around us. We're very fortunate, and I want to send everybody much love and blessings of the Lady from Avalon to you.
Thank you, and blessings of the Lady to you as well. And thank you so much, and thank you all for being with us and for staying this long. And sorry we went a little over, but we will see you Tuesday night or sometime on the radio, on the TV. We look forward to hearing from you. There is a group on Facebook, a gathering of priestesses. You are encouraged to join. No, you don't get to join and just click it and say you joined. I will approve you. And I'm doing that because there's people out there that are really, frankly, they shouldn't be allowed in any group. And I love people and I love hearing what you have to say. So please, whenever you join the group, tell us who you are and what you're doing and what you've got going on. And Kathy, please, I encourage you to use the group to promote your events.
Thank you very much. Will do. Yeah. And everybody come to the conference, please. Please come.
Yes. And so this is a good evening, a good day, good evening for this edition, and we will see you again soon. Bye.
Yeah.